All right, well, let's get going. So thank you guys again for joining today. This is the third part in our back to school webinar series. We hosted our first one last week, and then our second one yesterday, and this is now our third. Each of these have multiple chances to view these. So if somebody else wanted to watch, they can always sign in the future, and we'll share that information. These are also all recorded. And so after this session, we'll email you the link to the recording so you can go back and watch, or if you have to leave early, you can finish up. Just to point out, so there is that chat function that most of you guys typed into, and then we also have a Q&A, and that's a great place. You can put questions as things come up, and Julia or myself, we will answer them as we go. We'll also pause to make sure we're addressing the questions. So my name's Ryan. I am a customer success manager here at CodeHS. So that means that I get to work with teachers in schools and implementing CodeHS in the classrooms and helping support all you guys. I do see a few of my teachers in this list, which is great. Julia is also on here with us. She's a customer success manager as well. And we were both classroom teachers for a while before transitioning into this ed tech role and taking on a different role in education. I am based out of State College, Pennsylvania, and Julia just moved from Boston to Chicago, which is really exciting. Julia, do you want to say anything?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I also see some teachers that I work with. So thanks for joining. I'm going to be here kind of on the back end answering questions. So definitely submit any to the Q&A box, which you can find at the bottom of your screen, kind of right in the middle of the bottom menu there. Or you can just write into the chat box. Either way, we'll make sure that this is a dialogue. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. And please do ask questions. This really is for you guys. So if we can answer anything specific right now, great. Otherwise, we can always follow up with questions as well and answers. All right, so as we mentioned, there were two previous webinars, one last week and one yesterday, and those focused on really orienting to the platform and the tools. We looked at the student view and what the students go through as they're going through the curriculum. And then yesterday we focused on the course settings, things like due dates, access controls, grading, and using the fast grade to manage the curriculum flow and grading processes. Today, we're going to focus kind of on the next level of really being able to make these courses your own and make them unique to yourself. We offer a lot of curriculum, and for most teachers, it's great. But for some of you, you'll want to customize it a little bit more. And so that's what we'll focus on today. So just in case there are some new people here, CodeHS is a comprehensive platform for teaching computer science. We have curriculum aimed for grades 6 through 12, so really quite a spectrum. And we have over 15 full courses, along with many supplemental exercises, an hour of codes, and little short courses as well. So really there's a lot to work with. We offer both online and offline professional development, this webinar being part of that. And we have a full package of the teacher tools that allows you to manage your classes effectively. And that's part of what we're exploring in these webinars, so that you know how to use these tools. So we're going to get right into it. The first part, we're going to focus on the assignment list and looking at how we can customize this assignment list so that it matches what you want for your classes. And so I am going to switch over to my teacher view here. So if you've spent any time on CodeHS, you've probably noticed there's a hierarchy. We have courses, and then we have sections. And the courses, that's the home to the curriculum. The sections are then what you create as groups of students, whether it's by classes or whether it's by a club or a group that you want to focus on a certain curriculum. So those are what you're creating. These sections are aligned with courses. So when we talk about curriculum, we're talking about the courses, and that you can have multiple sections aligned to these same courses. And so to highlight that, I'm going to go to the assignments tab and just look at this drop down. So if you've seen this before, these bold names, these are the names of the courses that we've created. And then beneath them are the sections that are aligned to these courses. And so as you can see here, I have 2 independent study sections that are aligned to this JavaScript course, which means that I can change settings like due dates and access controls for the course and have them apply to both sections at one time. I don't have to do this twice for all my individual classes. So that's a nice part about being able to group it like this. So to show how you do that, just really quick, many of the basic functionality we've showed in previous webinars. So I'll move through section creation a little quickly here. But if you have questions, feel free to ask, or we'll share that information for the previous webinars. All right, so I'm going to create an independent study number 3. This will be for JavaScript. And because I already created one section for this JavaScript, I now have a copy of this JavaScript course in your courses list. So that means this is a copy of the CodeHS template course that I'm using. And you can see here that I'm using for these other 2 sections. So because I want them aligned, I'm going to choose this course. And I've now created the section. So if I look at my dropdown now, here's my course, and there are the 3 sections that are all going to use this course. So let's start customizing the course for these independent study groups here that I'm working with. I should note that this really is your course. You can see my name has been attached to it. So you can make changes and be able to reuse this course and assign sections over years for future years. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this title of the course. It's long. So I'm just going to say, let's call it Independent Study in JavaScript course. All right. And so if I refresh the page, I can see here that that bold name has already been changed. Okay, so this group of students, they've taken a class with me before, and actually it was a middle school class, and they did these, the programming with Carol exercises before. So I actually want to remove these modules. So as a reminder, what we're looking at is we're on the assignments page, we're seeing modules, and then within the modules, there's lessons, and within the lessons, we have activities. So this is exactly what the students will see. Now, they've already taken this pretest. I don't need them to do it. So I'm gonna delete this module. I click delete and everything adjusts. These students have also already taken the programming with Carol, so I'm gonna delete this module as well. So everything kind of slides up and adjusts. You can see the numbering adjusts here. Also down at the bottom, I don't want them to do this final project. I don't want them to do the final exam or the post-test. So I'm just going to delete all of these modules here. So I'm starting to tailor the course really to what I want my independent study students to go through. All right. What I do want to do though is add some curriculum now that I have this kind of set up. So if I click Add Assignment, I have some options. I want to assign these extra Carol puzzles to this group. So I'm going to click Assign. This is all supplemental material that the CodeHS team has developed over the years. So we have a lot for this course. So I'm going to assign this. And what you'll see it highlighted there at the bottom, these are the puzzles that I want to challenge my students with. I also want to add something from another course. I want to add from the cybersecurity course, a module on digital citizenship, because it's something our school has been talking about. And so I want to start with that unit. So this is our course catalog. You can access this from a variety of places, but also from that assignment page. And I'm just going to type cybersecurity. All right, so now I have the choice. I can either assign the whole course, or I can view units and actually assign individual modules to my course. So I want this digital citizenship. So I'm going to click assign. And now here's my independent study in JavaScript. I'm going to assign that module to this course. Now again, this is my course. Sections are linked to the course, and so they have access to now these assignments. And you'll see here that it says assigned. All right. So I'm going to close out of this. I'm just going to refresh this page. And what we'll see is we'll see the extra Carol puzzles and this new module with all the lessons from the cybersecurity course. So the last thing I want to do here is I want to move those up. So it's very easy. On the top here, if I click edit, what this allows you to do is just drag and drop modules. So I want this Carol to move all the way up. Here, I'm going to put it after the challenges. And then I want the digital citizenship to go all the way to the top here. And I want my students actually to start with this. And then I'm going to click done. So now I have a course. It started with JavaScript. I removed some of the modules, and then I added a supplemental. I added a module from another course. And at this point, I think this is a good starting place, for these independent study students. I want to pause here before I get into some more settings to see if, Julie, if there were any questions that came up regarding this.
Looks like there are no questions so far in the chat box or in the Q&A. Okay. But if anybody does have any questions at this point about assignment configurability, feel free to let us know.
Cool. All right. So let's get into a little more details then on the actual assignments. So if I drill down module, then lessons, and then I see the assignments, these lessons have, or the assignments have the ability to edit the details for individual activities. Many of these settings were discussed in previous webinars through these course settings, which allows you to change due dates, access controls, grading all at once on one page. But many of these you can do right through this menu. So I'm going to jump into here and just, so this is the Super Cleanup Carol exercise, a challenging exercise. At the top is a very easy way to preview that assignment. So that would load up an editor and you can try it out yourself. All right. So the first thing you'll notice is that these settings are going to have multiple options. And that's because I have 3 now classes or 3 sections aligned with this course. And so I can choose either independently or all together to change settings for these sections. So right here, I can either assign or unassign this exercise for these sections. I can change the point value. And in fact, this is a rather challenging one. And for my grading scale, I want this to be 30 points. So I'm going to set this up right now. I do want this to flow into the gradebook for all 3 of these classes because it is challenging and I want to look at it. As discussed in previous webinars, we have the ability to assign full credit to exercises once they pass the test cases within our AutoGrader system. Because this is, again, a challenging problem, I want to grade this myself. So I want to make sure this is turned off for this activity, which means I will get to grade it in my grading queue. I can change the due dates, again, all at once or independently for sections. I can also change the availability, whether it's locked or scheduled independently or all at once for my sections. Likewise with blocks, because this is a Carroll exercise, students can use blocks if they want, the block coding. And then the advanced settings down here at the bottom, even though this is a CodeHS exercise, I could actually go in here and provide more description. And so I could say, hey, remember what we talked about functions yesterday. Don't repeat lines if unnecessary or something. And this will show up then in the student's exercise when it loads. So it's a nice way to provide a little extra context or structure. And then copy and paste prevention, which we've discussed in previous webinars. So one thing that's unique, especially for those who've used CodeHS in the past, we can now change settings on a per student level. So if I were to click on this first independent study section, I have 2 students in the section, Griffin and Rachel, and I can change many of these settings for them by themselves. So if Griffin, for example, missed a class and I need to extend the due date, I could change just his due date. Or I could lock it down so he doesn't have access to it at that moment. So this is a nice ability to begin to customize now even within a class section, different groups of students. And I think really the biggest benefit of this is being able to differentiate among students. And deciding if you want to assign a problem to a subgroup of students. So for example, I'm going to head back to my assignments page here. Let's say Rachel in that class was doing very well. So I want to assign an extra challenging problem. I'm going to go to the problem bank and I'm going to assign a challenge problem to her. So I'm going to search Carroll challenge. I want this to be a challenge problem in JavaScript, and I want it to be Carroll. The problem bank is a group of all the problems that CodeHS or teachers have created over the years. And so this is a great first resource in supplemental work. So if I filter this, and just for your reference, if you haven't seen this, in the toolbox, you can access all 3 banks in this create category. All right, so again, I want to assign a challenge problem to Rachel, 10 towers. Let's click on this. Okay, so this teacher, Topher here, I think I've actually been there, Stevenson School. That's fun. So he provided a description, a solution code for my reference. So this looks great. So I'm going to now assign this to my class. Again, to my course. I'm going to pick my independent study course and exit out of here. And so if I refresh this page now, I'll now see that assignment was added to this extra course assignments module. And so if I drill down here, I can actually move this challenge into another module. So if I click the 3 dots and I go to move to lesson, I can now drop down here and I want to stick this into the challenge problems. That makes sense. And I click move. So now this module is blank. I don't really need it anymore, so I'm just going to delete it. And if I go up here to the Carroll challenges, And we'll see down at the bottom, here was this 10 towers. I want this actually before the badge, so I can even move this up. All right, so I now have it assigned. Let's customize this so that it's only to Rachel. So if I click the edit, and I scroll all the way down to the bottom, and Rachel is in my independent study. So I want it to be assigned to Rachel, and I don't want it to be assigned to Griffin. All right, and that's it. So now if Griffin was viewing this course in his section, he would not see the 10 towers exercise in that module, but Rachel would. So I also want to go back and make sure I don't want it to be assigned to any of these other sections as well. So this third one, you might ask, why can't I change it? It's because I just created it and it's still free. It doesn't have the pro access. So free accounts can't change some of these settings. Again, this is a normal process. If you create a section as a pro teacher, it'll start as free, then you let one of your customer success managers know, and then we can confirm that pro access. But that's why I can't change this for this newly created section. And if I return to my assignments, and just to check here in the Carroll challenges, there it is, 10 towers. And this is only assigned to Rachel right now. All right, I think that's probably a good part to pause. So we just talked about the section course structure, customizing the list itself, and then actually being able to change some of the settings. Are there any questions related to this? Julia, has anything come in?
Yeah, we did have a few things come in. So Susan asked if there are difficulty ratings associated with problems in the problem bank or the playlist bank. I don't believe there are, although I think that's a great idea.
It's a great idea. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, so we can definitely take that as feedback, because I think, yeah, that would be great for informing what you assign. And then in the Q&A, we did get a question from Robert about getting more granular, like editing per student, and we did cover that in the demo. So, and then Alexander asked, can I move items from the extra section up to where I want them after students have started working on them? The answer is yes, you can. You can certainly move things while students are working on things, and those updates should show up on the student's end as well. So whether a student has started completing work shouldn't have any effect on your ability to reorder.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yeah, those are great questions. All good?
Okay.
All right. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to spend just a little time on actually creating your own assignments or your own exercises. We pulled from the CodeHS supplement, we pulled from the CodeHS another course, and we actually pulled from another teacher who taught out in California who had submitted a problem to the problem bank. But I think as a past teacher, this is really one of my favorite parts of the platform, to be able to create your own exercises and have it relate to whatever your class needs. So there's a lot of functionality here, and essentially all of the tools that we use as a company and a team to create content, you have available to yourself to create content as well. So you can really get go as crazy as you want here. To access it, if you go up to the toolbox and then go to the create menu. So right now we have two groups of creations. We have playlists, And then we have custom courses. I'm going to focus on the playlist this afternoon. And what that is really just a collection of exercises. And you can assign either the whole playlist to your course, and that will appear as a module with all the exercises, or you can assign individual exercises from a playlist. So that's a great way. If you just have a running playlist, like as you create exercises, you'll be able to just assign those single ones, to a previously existing module, and I'll show you how to do that. Custom courses is really creating your own course. So you have the ability to create modules and create lessons and create activities in those lessons. So you could create the whole structure. You can assign that whole course to your students. And you can also, like the playlist, assign individual activities as you create them. So it can be a shell, a kind of a way to organize, if you want a little more details, the activities you're building. So I'm just going to create, I already have the name here, independent study list. I'm going to create this. So this is going to be for JavaScript. It's my students who are working through that. I could provide just a description for this playlist. I'm going to choose, it's going to be in JavaScript. And if you want to, you can change the icon for this module for when you assign it. All right, but let's create a first exercise. Let's say Carol goes to France. So I just typed it in, pressed enter. So I have a lot of options here. I want this to be, let's see, an exercise. I'm going to make it a challenge to signify. There's really no difference. It's just the symbol, as you can see. It's a pencil versus a star, indicating this is going to be a little bit harder. So it's going to be in JavaScript, and I want to use the Ultra Carol library, so all the Carol commands. All right, and I'm going to create this activity. So let's see here. This is the description that will show up to students. So we could say, Carol is visiting France and wants to build a second Eiffel Tower out of tennis balls. All right, so that's a good starting point. I'm going to save the description, and then I can look at the code. This is the starter code, so what students would see when they load the exercise. So if you want to provide a little more structure into how they start, you can also provide a solution code. Students won't see the solution code, but it's for your reference. And when the problem gets shared to the problem bank, reference for the other teachers as well. So it's a great way to kind of create a packaged exercise. For now, I'm not going to have any starter code or solution, so I'm going to move on. The Carol worlds, this is really fun. I'm not going to get into the details of this, but you can edit the Carol world. If you've used Carol before, it's a little grid that Carol moves through, our dog. And so, for this, if I wanted to create something that looks like France, I could create a big grid and maybe add some buildings with colors, add some walls, really kind of make it fun and choose where Carol starts. And so it'll be like a unique experience if you want. Otherwise, you can just use the plain old grid. So that's all through there. And teacher notes, these are just private notes that would go to you and teachers that you share this exercise with. And that's it. So we've created this. So if I click view activity here, you can see, hey, Carol goes to France. This is the starting world. This is what you could edit in the world editor. I click let's go. And I can see here. And in the exercise, here was my description. So it looks just like a normal exercise that our team would have created, which is awesome. All right, and let's say if I want to do one more, let's do a reflection exercise. So after they complete this, I want students to answer some questions. I want this to be free response. I could also do a quiz if I wanted, but Let's do a free response. And I might just say, reflect on what troubled you the most on completing this exercise. So this is what the students would see when they load the exercise. And it will just be a blank editor for them to now code in. Again, we don't need any starter code or solution here. And you can add notes. So at this point, you can either assign these exercises independently to your course, or you could assign the entire list. So if I want to assign just Carol Goes to France, I click on Carol Goes to France, and in the Assign tab, it'll list all my courses. So I would want the Assign to JavaScript course, and that would stick this exercise in there. I actually want this to assign the whole playlist. So if I go back to my playlist here, just click back to playlist, I can now say assign the entire playlist. And so I'm going to do this, independent study in JavaScript, course, assign, awesome. I'm going to go to this course. This will bring me to that assignments page. And you can see right here at the bottom, here is what I called independent study list with one lesson and the 2 exercises right there. That icon, you'll notice that was the icon in the options of the playlist. And I could move this, to wherever I wanted to. So yeah, so that is creation. And the playlist will just create a single module. And from here, if you wanted to, you could even move these exercises into other modules and then delete this if you didn't want it here. So it's very easy to create your own content and supplement the coursework. And so really what we want teachers to do is to create the course that you want to teach. And so if it's an extra reflection, an extra quiz, an extra exercise, remedial practice, challenge practice, there's really a lot that you can do in both customizing this assignment list and then creating your own content if you can't find something in the problem bank or another course. All right, so let's pause here. We talked about playlists. I didn't get into the custom courses, but it's the same idea. You could just have a little more granularity in creating the modules and the lessons and the exercises. But are there any questions that came up in this?
I did get a question from Alex, and I'm wondering if you could demo this, Ryan, if you have a sec.
Yeah.
He was asking if you can change the name of a playlist after it's been created. And I believe you can change a playlist name, but I don't think you can change an activity name.
And once it's already been assigned, or once it's, I'll show you.
Maybe you can if it's not assigned, but.
Well, so if we go back to Toolbox and create, it's a great question. If I click edit on this playlist, I can change the name of the playlist right here. So I could say independent study list number 2. So that updates here. This won't push the update to the assignment list. So if I refresh this page, it's still going to say independent study list. And that's because kind of like when you create a section with a course, you've grabbed a copy of the CodeHS course and populated it with those assignments. So you're no longer working off like a live connection to like our template course. So any changes we make wouldn't necessarily be pushed, except in a few cases. So same thing here. So you've kind of made a copy of this playlist in your course. You could always, assign this again. Actually, I don't know if you assign this again.
So Alex did clarify. It wasn't the playlist name, but the individual activity name within a playlist, which I don't believe you have that option. So that's a piece of feedback that we can change to put in a request for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so once you've named it, you can't change it from this setting screen. And you can change it in the playlist. Oh, maybe you can actually. Oh, you can. Okay.
Oh, you can.
Yeah. So in the playlist, if I clicking here, and then up here, if I click Carol Goes to France, and I'm like, let's get some pasta, and I want Carol Goes to Italy, you'll see it's reflected here. So again, this is your kind of master copy, and then once it goes to your assignment list, it's no longer connected, so you'd have to push it again. So yeah, great question though.
And then can you delete a playlist? Yes, you can. You can do that from the Create dashboard. There is an option to, I think it's archive, not delete, but.
Yeah, so most of our things, for sections and things you create, you can archive them, which, for all purposes, I have many archive lists and you can't see them here. So yeah, just keeps your screen clean.
We did have another question, which I'm actually not sure about,
Okay.
but maybe you know. So Robert asked, do you know if anyone has given the test to students in a Chromebook under kiosk mode using the access controls feature?
I don't know.
Okay. Robert will need to follow up with you separately, but I'm noting it right now.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so we just have one last little bit to talk through, and then we'll wrap up here. So in our previous webinars, we discussed the grading flow. And if you're ever looking to bring back this menu settings, because this is where a lot of the course settings are, just click assignments and that'll populate this back up here. So in the course settings in a previous webinar, we talked about what this means to wordful submission and where does that go. But essentially, if we click yes, that means an assignment will receive full credit once it passes the test cases. If we click no, so for example, in this exercise, what is your digital footprint? That means we want to grade it. So I just want to show this in terms of the gradebook and then show you one new screen because I think it's very useful. And I'm going to choose just a different period because there's a little more progress here. All right, so this is the gradebook. So if we focus on these first two exercises, your first Carol program, this was one that I said award full credit upon submission. And so what happened, all these students submitted it, it passed the test case, and so it went automatically into finalized mode. And you can see this is the key here, dark green finalized, and it was awarded the full 7 points. Short stack, in comparison, I said I want to grade, so don't award full credit. So it got colored light green and was awarded no points. So that means this is sitting in my grading queue. Our last webinar touched on the review dashboard where you could see those problems. But I actually really like this other approach. So if I click on the link here, short stack, and this now brings up the assignment grading page. And so I can see just this assignment. I can see when they submitted their assignment. It's light green. I can see they have no score. And I can hop into fast grade from here just for this assignment. So it's an easy way to filter if you just want to work through one assignment at a time. And I can, again, like we've shown before, I can provide feedback, great job. I can click finalize and that would turn it dark green. Needs work would be pink, indicating, hey, I want the student to pay a little bit more attention to this. And I can quickly award full credit or just type in, a score, 5 out of 6. Add comments, please. And then as soon as I click one of these buttons, the next student assignment, next student submission for this particular assignment will pop up. So it's a great way to run through this. And likewise, you can still run the code over here. So it's an easy functionality. Note that we do have the submission status. So this is submitted light green. if this was a class where I had graded some of them already, it would say finalized. So that would indicate, there's already a grade, and I could see here any previous grades that this was already submitted. And I mentioned that because if I wanted to, let's say, grade this, I actually decide, even though we've received full credit, I want to go back and grade this assignment. So I can go through the assignment page, click Fast Grade, and it says finalized, and I can see there's a previous grade, but now I can actually score this on my own and cycle through these exercises. So that's one way to change your mind if you're like, I got full credit, but now I want to grade things. And likewise, you can give full credit on this page and still click through each individual student and go to their editor screen too if you want. So it's a great screen. It's accessed via these links up top here. And I think it's a very easy way to, as you're going through the class, choose what you want to grade or focus on in conjunction to using the review dashboard. So that wraps up here. Julia, I don't know if you wanted to talk about the differentiation or if
I can, let's maybe skip it for now.
Okay.
But just
know
questions
we have.
We do have some follow-up questions I definitely want to get through, but just know that if you have any questions about differentiation, definitely speak with your customer success manager, and we can walk you through various options there. We have various things like allowing co-teaching, allowing you to create multiple sections to group by skill level. There's a bunch of different strategies that are just utilizing the existing CodeHS platform to achieve various learning objectives to help your students. We do have a couple more questions that came into the Q&A, and actually for some reason my typing is not working, so we should just answer these live.
Okay.
But John Wilson is asking, the filtering Ryan is showing now is by section only, or can it be done over several sections at once? And so I think that is a question regarding our grading and the fast grade, how you can filter to different things. So right now, I believe the gradebook is only by section. So you can't view like all of your sections in one view on the gradebook. And so to answer your question, the filtering is by section only. I believe we are going to be working on adding in some broader filters so that you can fast grade all at once, but currently we don't have that.
And I would add, that's maybe part of your strategy in thinking how you're creating your sections. So kind of for demo purposes, I created 3 independent studies that are separate, as if maybe they were meeting, independently in my classroom. But if you had a group that you really wanted to grade all at once, right now, a good option is just to put them all in one section so that you can change their settings and grade them all in one place versus having separate sections to do that in.
And then Alex asks, is there a quick way to see which sections are marked as award full credit versus those that aren't, before students have started them? So I think the fastest way of doing that is probably in the grading settings, which is under course settings.
Yeah, so if I go to grading settings here, it's still, so this is now at the course level, and you can check this by, when I go to the drop down, it's highlighted the course. So if I pick this course that has multiple sections, so this says independent study JavaScript course. So yeah, so I can now change the award full credit for all my sections that are using this course. You can change individual sections if you actually go into the activity edit screen that I showed. And I think soon we've talked about too adding the ability to do full course or individual sections on this page, but that's a future development. So at this point, this is the place to do your full course, all your sections. or if you want to change it by section, you can go into the activity settings themselves. Yeah, great question.
Now there's a question from Esty. If I create a custom course for a pro section, can I assign that to a different section that is free? I believe you can. I don't actually think that that is an issue. So you can create something in playlist and then as a playlist and then assign it to a free section.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yes, I think so as well. I don't see any limitations. And I'm saying that because I know there was a free section that was using this course. So when I assigned this playlist, and you can see it says I already assigned this playlist, and I go to this assignment list, let's just check this setting here. And I can see that all three, both my pro sections and my independent study. So I can't unassign or change the settings for that free section, but it does get assigned to them. But I can't change like the gradebook or the due dates availability. That's all pro. Yeah, great question.
Okay. Any other questions for me or Ryan?
All right, you're looking good. Well, I will say, if you do have questions, please reach out. If you're a part of a pro account, you can reach out to your customer success manager. They would be happy to answer. If not, hello@codehs.com. That's our general email, and one of us will receive that and we can address your question there. We'll also email out a link to the recording of this webinar. And so you'll have my contact information through that as well. Our next webinar in this back to school series is choosing the right CodeHS course. So taking a closer look at the courses that we have offered. And that will be tomorrow, September 5th at 1 p.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. Eastern. And we will be hosting this webinar again, I think next week. So if you do have other teachers you work with that would benefit from a live session, you can let them know. And we'll include information. All of our webinars are in the knowledge base, so you can find a list of what's coming up or any of the recorded sessions. And so our follow-up email will include a link to that.